Hey, it's Flubby again. This is an Incoherent Ramble, episode 2. I've hinted to wanting to make this video in the last one that I made about Doug Walker's The Wall review, and in terms of tearing apart, like, making an incoherent ramble on an incoherent mess. Like last episode I did The Wall, Nostalgia Critics review. This episode is on probably the biggest narrative mess I've ever seen in a video game. This game has been compared to Sonic 06, except instead of glitches, it's bad writing. So that's the kind of reputation this game has. And the game I'm talking about is Y2K, a postmodern RPG, or Yikes, Yuck, this game. It was released the beginning of this year, and oh my goodness, I have been I I haven't really seen like too many videos on this game going in an in-depth analysis on this game's story and just really getting to the bottom, getting to the meat of how much of a clusterfuck this game's narrative is. And I've watched an entire long play of this game. Tried to I looked at every single ending, looked at all the cut content, I looked at all this stuff so I can get a grounded analysis of this game's story. And it is, yeah, I would say it's as bad as people are saying. So I want to get into that. So this is going to be a bit of a mess of this video. I'm probably going to be really long. There's one thing I'm going to do. I'm not going to talk about the gameplay for a couple reasons. One, I haven't actually played the game, so I don't think that would actually be fair for me to talk about how a game plays if I haven't actually played it. You can go look up the gameplay for yourself or whatever. The second reason is this video would be long enough. This video that I'm making would probably already be really long, even without me talking about the gameplay. So, before I go into anything, before I give you my opinions on this game's story, just to entertain you guys, so you can get an understanding of how much of a clusterfuck this game's narrative is, I'm going to explain out the entire story, the entire progression, the entire plotline as I see it. So the main character of this game, Alex Eggleston, or Alex Eagleston, I don't know, sometimes I see it as Eggleston, sometimes Eagleston, maybe it was Eggleston in beta, but I don't know. I'm just gonna say Eggleston because it's sillier. So the game starts out, Alex is some 20-something-year-old college graduate, of course, some liberal arts major, who's designed to look like that stereotypical right-wing soy boy meme. Basically, that seems like the design they were going for. Like, intentionally knowing the developer, that seems like something you would do. So what happens is he explores this abandoned building, I think, because he finds a cat, and the cat stole his homework or sheet of paper or whatever. I don't remember what it was. So Alex goes into the elevator in the building. The elevator was vibrating with motion, by the way. And right off the bat, Alex monologues everything. Alex is written like a really shitty creepypasta main character. Like, adding adjectives to everything in his monologue, describing things in excruciating detail rather than showing them in a visual medium. Like, intentionally designed to be a pretentious character. So Alex was in the elevator, vibrating with motion. He finds a talking panda companion, I guess, and he enters into some random, unexplained Illuminati surreal land with, like, some Eye of Providence and some flaming, like, proto-woman or something. So he goes through this weird, unexplained land, and he finds this girl, they talk, and the girl fucking dies. The girl, like, gets, like, killed in the elevator. and that's basically what kickstarts the story. So Alex meets his friend. He runs into his friend Michael, who is like, "Hey, I'm an energetic young guy. I like Chrono Trigger and Secret of Mana and Super Nintendo." And Alex explains like what happened in the elevator that time. They go off to explore it, and they find a bootleg Starman in the elevator in the building. Then they run off from the building, and then there's like, "Oh shit, I got a picture of it. Oh, we need to post it online." And they go on this forum, Osmo, like 1999 or something. And there's this girl that's talked about on the forum, Vela, which is shoehorned into the plot. They meet her, and they look through the forum, they find another guy on the forum named Rory, who claims to seen some, like, bootleg Starman in the sewer that's actually his dead sister. They meet up with Rory, they go into the sewer, and they meet another bootleg Starman, but Vela says that the bootleg Starman, that one in particular, is actually, like, that's actually, like, an ultimate version of him that's trying to fuse into the reality, but they can't do it because, like, there can only be one version of a person in the reality, I guess. And Rory goes on to this depressing, like, narrative about how, not narrative, like the depressing monologue about how his sister killed herself and all of that. And immediately after, like, "Oh shit, it's a golden alpaca lemonade." It's like this goofy boss fight. And it's so tone deaf and borderline hilarious. Like, this is the scene that got me interested in this game in the first place, that made me want to look into it. And there's this goofy, lemonade, golden alpaca, which is never explained, by the way, but they act like it's some major threat, like, "Oh shit, it's that thing." So then they escape the sewer, and then Alex acts like a piece of shit, saying that Rory intentionally tried to get him killed, and all that. And all while this is happening, all throughout the progression of the game, Alex was having dreams about some android girl, some plastic android, like out, like in and out. And then there's like one scene in the game where, like, one of these, like, a ghost of these bootleg Starmen appear in his house, and they guide him to a radio tower, and then like there's a record there, but there's no record. It was just a case, and the entity wants Alex to play the record on the radio tower, but there's no record in there, so Alex has to find the record, or at least he thinks he has to, like, because he's taking this quest really seriously, I guess, which is like one of the, like, narrative points of the game, is that whatever. So he goes to Vela and is like, "Hey, I found this record. Can you help me look for it?" Vela gets really mad at him. I'm sick of your shit, Alex. I don't want to go through this bullshit again. Just sometimes shit happens, and you shouldn't look into things too much. And Alex plays the victim. And so instead, he just like, fuck Vela. I'm going to go with my other guys and find the record. So there's this whole, like, padding of the game. And they go to this one town, and they find, like, Claudio and Chandra, two new characters, an anime black guy and his sister. The designated anime black guy character. And I'm not just saying, oh, he's black, but it's like they actually make, like, references to his race and all that. It's really awkward. So after that, like, it turns out that Alex can't fucking read, and that the record was made by, like, it said on the record case that it was made by Vela. And so they talk to Vela, they go back to her, and just all of a sudden she's okay with this now. And they enter her mind dungeon to find the record. They find the record, they play it, and they have a vision of the fucking android again. And then they do another padded section of the game where they go look for the android. Like, they say they see it's in a van, so they just go around looking for vans. And then they find it, and then Alex is like, oh shit, she's beautiful. She's like a real-life anime girl. And then the Essentia pulls Alex into the soul space, and she explains a whole bunch of shit that doesn't make any sense. Like about, oh, I'm actually I'm the same person as Vela and Sammy, except we're like separate. We share the same souls and all that fucking shit. And then the Essentia pulls Alex into her mind dungeon, and it becomes like this less spoopy, like JRPG horror game with like creepy music and atmosphere and all that. And then at the end of it, she says that Alex is gonna destroy all of reality. She's gonna destroy reality completely. Well, not Alex, but like an alternate version of Alex that's going to destroy reality. But it's still Alex's fault, you know, because you're responsible for what an alternate version of you does. So Alex gets all the gang together, says, hey, we need to stop this shit. Like, we need to stop reality from being destroyed somehow. And so there's another padded out section of the game where nothing really happens. And there's also this one part of the game, like after that, where it's like, for whatever reason, Michael has been in the soul space, and he's like super enlightened now, and like understands everything. So like at around New Year's Eve of this game's time in 1999, reality falls apart. Like everything is like all moonside, like an Earthbound. And then like a meteor comes down with Alex's face on it, and they have to fight the meteor with Alex's face on it, except they all die. Everyone dies except for Alex. Reality is destroyed. And so what Alex does, he goes into the soul space, wanders aimlessly, following like meteors with his face on it that destroy realities. And so eventually he finds you. Like you, the player. Like he interacts with you, the player, like looking at the screen, kind of breaking the fourth wall a bit, asking for your help, and says some explanation about how you interact with the soul space through your video game device. I'm not making this up. And then they enter like a comet to confront Proto Alex, and then there's like this, they have to enter this angry face of Alex and like fight all these alternate versions of him. And at the end, like Sammy meets up with him, who's probably dead because she looks like a spirit, and says, hey, I'm sorry that these guys, like they led you here for selfish reasons, like all that stuff. And apparently, like throughout having little development, that was Alex's romantic interest, I guess, because they hug and stuff like that. And so they meet up, they go in. So in the final room of the game, it turns out that Proto Alex is actually Essentia and some other guy that's never explained. And the other guy is like, hey man, you know, dude. And the Essentia is like, hey, Alex, I led you here. Destroy this other guy. And the guy is like, hey man, what did she lie to you? What did she tell you to get you here? And Essentia says, yeah, all the stuff I told you was bullshit. I just wanted you here to kill that guy. And it's like, they fight. It's an unwinnable boss fight, which is a pretty annoying trope that happens pretty often in this game. And then when you give up, some unrelated character, which was apparently like some guy named Roy, which was from the developer's failed project, like the previous game that he made. He gives some speech about like, oh, you need to keep fighting, forget what the fanboys say, or stuff like that. And then they go down and they unplug the both of them, like Essentia and that guy, because apparently they were plugged into machines to keep themselves alive, I guess, so that they can like endlessly destroy realities, I guess. And so apparently every single version of Alex dies except for you. So that I'm just imagining all the other versions of Alex in the different realities going Earth Angel, and they're disappearing like that, playing. I guess like I don't know, like some of the shit in this game you just kind of have to imply and all that, and I'll get to that a little bit more like later on, but oh shit. So so yeah, that's how the game ends. Um, it pretty much wraps everything up, except for the fact that, if Essentia was actually an alternate version of Alex this whole time, why was the record that was needed in Vela's Mind Dungeon, and also how was the Essentia able to exist in the same reality as Alex, if it was explained previously in the game that couldn't happen? Was it because she was in the body of an android that allowed that? Was that kind of like Earthbound rules, where it's like, the end of Earthbound, they go back in time like as robots, because they're like, if they did it, their physical selves, they would be destroyed. Was it like that, or, was this really Alex's fault that, like, reality got destroyed? I know that the whole game was that the theme of the game was that Alex is a piece of shit, and that he's his narcissism destroyed reality and all that. But the way the narrative is framed, it didn't seem like it was really his fault. Like if Alex never went on his quest, would none of this stuff happen? And it's later implied that in a third ending of the game that they did. There are two alternate endings to this game. One of them is that instead of going to New York, they meet up with Sammy, they find her, and then they endlessly live together in the soul space, and him and all his friends are fine, yet reality is still destroyed, I guess. And another ending is that while reality is falling apart, they use reality to fall apart to go back in time to kill the Essentia and that guy, so that reality doesn't get destroyed, and they get like some kind of redemption arc, and they get to like none of this shit happened, and they learned their lesson. So there are two alternate rushed endings of the game, because the default ending was so fucking bad that, like, I guess they had to include those, I guess. But the cut ending, this is what I found interesting. There's a cut ending from this game where it turns out like the Essentia 2000 was what she said she was, and she was actually like the good guy fighting a big evil destructive version of Alex, and she needed your help to like kill it. And which, yeah, it's a corny ending, but it actually makes sense within the narrative that was written. Like, it's corny, but it makes sense in the narrative. It makes more sense in the narrative that was written, and it fits the theme of this game being goofy and pretentious. So they should have left in. If you ask me, they should have left in the old ending. I don't know why they changed it. It's really dumb, and that's what this whole game is. It's really dumb. It's just they took a bunch of story elements, they threw it at the wall, and just see if it stuck. Like in the last video, I described Nostalgia Critics' The Wall review as building a mansion on quicksand. This isn't like that. This is taking a whole bunch of story elements and plot lines that have really cool ideas in them, don't get me wrong, and throwing them all together and seeing if they stick, like as a house or as a mansion, and it just crumbles down and falls apart because they don't work together. Because it doesn't really. I hate to use this term again, but it lacks structure. This game lacks its structure. Anyway, but unlike the Nostalgia Critics' The Wall review, not everything that I have to say about this game is completely negative. Like, I really like some of the music in this game. And I do think that if there's a decent rewrite of the story, this could actually work as some really cool and unique narrative. Like, they throw the plotline idea of, like, you projecting yourself into the game as an avatar, and, like, with the whole alternate realities thing, and the way, like, different realities work and function, that would be a really cool idea if that version of you was the main character. Now, I know what I'm saying probably doesn't really make any sense. Well, basically what I'm saying is Alex should have been a silent protagonist. Alex is unlikable, he's annoying, and when you ask many people what's their biggest problem with this game, for people that have played it, their problem is Alex is insanely unlikable. And the developer has gone on rants and tangents saying, "Oh, they just don't understand art. When main characters when there's a character that's unlikable in a game, like that triggers gamers and all that." And it's actually, and if you ask me, it's actually, I would say it's okay to have main characters that are unlikable in media, as long as there's like a reason for it, as long as there's proper development. As long as, but for this, it's like, you have to endure an unlikable character for 30 hours, and they don't really develop any, because as far as the player knows, the stuff that happens to Alex at the end, that doesn't really seem like it's his fault. You know? Like, if he never went on that quest, would reality be destroyed? Because it's an alternate version of Alex that's being destroyed. That's destroying reality. It's an alternate version of Alex that's destroying reality. Like, not Alex itself. That's the impression I got from this game. And also, like, is Alex the center of the universe? Like, really? Like, is the entire balance of reality determined by, is Alex a piece of shit or not? Because, like, what about other people? You know, is everyone else just an NPC? Like, in this literal case? It's so, like, the game would be much stronger if it had a silent protagonist. Like, the avatar that represents you at the end of the game, that should have been the main character. This game should have been about you, the player, projecting yourself onto this world, and the choices you make. Like, it revolves around you trying to figure out everything that's going on. Not Alex, but you. And the choices you make lead to reality being destroyed or not. And you can choose either or. So, like, if you align with Essentia, reality gets destroyed. But if you align with Proto-Alex, then you get to save reality. And it's like more focused on player choice. That would have been a somewhat cool narrative. Like, if they did that. Like, kind of like Undertale, like, with its whole saving system and how that affects their reality. Like, you being, like, a version of you projecting yourself onto a different reality and having your choices affect that reality and stuff like that. So, like, if you make that choice to, like, go through with a bad ending, which in this case is the game's default ending, then reality would have been destroyed. But if you replay the game, then you get a second chance and, like, to make different choices. It would be kind of like the Undertale narrative, except, yeah, like, this game is a fucking mess, just like this video. Like, if you're confused listening to this video, I don't fucking blame you. But, like I said, I think there's a cool idea for a narrative. I like the idea of an RPG set in modern times, but with themes of, like, alternate realities and, like stuff like that. How does that, like, affect your reality and all that stuff like that? Like, there's some cool themes in this game. Like, don't get me wrong. But if they used that, if they had a more focused narrative, it would have been something. I'm not saying this game would be good, but hey, it would at least be, like, somewhat more focused if the main character was that alternate version of you that was portrayed at the end. And that was just you, like, you making the choices. Not Alex. Fuck Alex. But you. So you trying to figure out what was going on, because that was another strength of this game. I was actually genuinely interested in what the fuck was gonna happen. Yeah, sure, it didn't really pay off at the end, but still, like I wouldn't make this video if I wasn't at all invested in the story. So it's like I do think there's an interesting story to be found here, but the way this game is, it's a fucking mess, and maybe I doubt they'll ever rewrite it. I doubt, like, the developer seems way too up his own ass to do that. But hopefully this video didn't turn out too long. So that's this is a fucking mess. So that's another incoherent ramble I had to give. So yeah, I guess I'm checking out on this one. So bye.